1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Royal Blue Podcast Sound Check. Wednesday show live. Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello and welcome to the Wednesday show here on the Royal Blue Podcast. It's the 3rd of June. We are live on YouTube recording from the Royal Blue studio based in the heart of Liverpool city centre. I'm your host Ian Croll, and alongside me for today's show we have the return of Tony Scott. Tony, how are things? All good?
Yeah, all good.
There was a bit of a suggestion from your absence last week that you'd gone into hiding following Everton's collapse to the season.
The Moyes apologist, apparently I am, aren't I?
Well, I've seen worse comments.
Yeah, I agree.
Of you.
I've seen them. You want to check me mentions? No, I haven't been missing, have I? I've been
no. I mean, it was just that.
It was half term, wasn't it? It was half term, obviously, and you got it. Had to take me lads out and doing bits and bobs in and around the city, which was good. So yeah, I'm here to face the music, so to speak. I'm sure. Listen, toward the end of the season, it panned out terrible, didn't it? The way the team dropped off. But listen, I'm not going to make any apologies for me comments pre the 7 games and after. I just think Everton are where they are in terms of the squad. Could the manager have done better than the last 7 weeks? Definitely, 100%. The way the team dropped off, he's got to take a large responsibility of that. He kept the same back four and could have changed there, looked down and out on the feet. So he's got to take a large responsibility of the way that team performed over them 7 games. Before them 7 games, after that Chelsea game, the whole stadium was chanting his name. So it just shows you how quickly things can change in the Premier League. But no, I think Everton needs a big reset button in the summer in terms of where they're at, the football club in general, in terms of our identity, because I'm sure we'll probably touch on it shortly. What is our identity? We from the owners to the manager to the players to the recruitment, I think we're in a bit of a situation in terms of like, yeah, we're at this brand new stadium, but what is our model? What are we? If you identify an Everton player, what is it? Which I'm sure we'll probably discuss within Ndyaye's future.
Right, sorry about that. Just had a little technical difficulty. Alongside Tony, we've got the return of Dave Kennedy. He's our resident stadium model maker back on the podcast.
Wow. How many podcasts can say they've got a resident model maker?
Well, as you can...
he's a model, look at him.
He is.
He is
as you can see, we've got a new model turnstile of Goodison Park up on the TV. And, well, not the old one, but the Hill Dickinson one's just on the floor. So we're going to get both put up on the wall, aren't we, Dave?
Yeah, I believe so. Anyway, yeah. Lucky me.
How are things anyway? All good?
Yeah, all good. Thanks very much. Yeah, it's been several weeks since I've been on. I won't say 7 weeks, because that's an unlucky number, isn't it? But yeah, it's been several weeks since I've been on, and yeah, we won't go back to talk about the end of season collapse I've been having from my family, me red cousins for a number of weeks now since that collapse. But yeah, it's...
Have you been the one onto Tony in the comments? Is that what it is?
He's in my mentions. What are you going to say about Moyes now?
Have you renewed your season ticket all ready for the new season, I guess?
I have, yeah. And a bit of a winner from me and my friends is that we've been moved, by the club to a far better seat than we've had last season. So we're really, really happy. Yeah, we're going to be down in the lower west side of the ground. A few rows from the front, so we're looking forward to the new views, which hopefully will be a better season than the last one.
And there's also a bit of a suggestion that you were the reason for Everton's collapse, because you missed the Chelsea game, probably the best result, the best performance of the season. Once you returned back in the country, Everton didn't win a game since. So did you bring a curse back with you or something?
Can we play your funds to just stay away from it?
It has been noted, and so anyone wants to buy a season ticket from me, I believe a 50% discount.
Well, today's agenda, we're going to dive into what is hopefully not going to be a bit of a saga, but the unfolding contract situation regarding Iliman Ndiaye, with reports indicating that Everton face a bit of a battle for him in the summer, with improved contract offers sitting unsigned on the table for a couple of months now. So we're going to discuss that. Should we be concerned? The club have suggestions that the club said they are not concerned. 3 years of his contract still left. Moving on from that, we'll have a bit of a wider discussion regarding whether becoming a selling club is now a necessity in order to progress as a football club. You know, harsh realities of modern football sustainability. We'll discuss the pros and cons of the footballing financial system and whether Everton could benefit from not becoming a selling club, but maybe selling some of the best players to fund, a bit of a transfer spend as well in the summer and beyond. And to finish off the podcast, there will be a quick fire Q&A segment for both Tony and Day. Tony is going to answer questions that I put forth to him with yes or no. You can't say anything else other than yes or no. And this is for the first time I'm going to tell you, Day, you are going to blind rank 10 Everton players of the season from top to bottom. So you don't know what players I'm going to include. It could be anyone, but you're going to blind rank from 1 to 10. So look at him now, he's already...
At least you know what you're getting.
Before we do get going, just a shout to our sponsor, NordVPN. We're on board with Nord, and so should you be. The NordVPN app lets you switch your virtual location, allowing you to save money by purchasing flights, hotel subscriptions from other countries at a cheaper price. And if you want to watch a sporting event or a TV show or a film that isn't available in your region, then NordVPN allows you to switch your virtual location to a country which is showing the event. So for more information and to get the best discounts off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/EFC. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on a 2-year plan, and there's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. And the link is in the podcast episode description box. Okay. So this Ndiaye contract situation, I was trying to think of in this dead space kind of that we've got within June now. There's no football. The World Cup hasn't started. There's no fixtures being released. And there's no transfer window open, even though we are getting linked with every player under the sun. I was thinking, what are we going to speak about? Lo and behold, we're going to speak about this Ndiaye contract situation. Just the key points from it. So Ndiaye's current deal doesn't expire until 2029. Everton obviously have a bit of leverage with 3 years remaining on the contract, and the club sit in a fairly strong negotiating position. And the stance is that Everton have a firm desire to keep hold of Ndiaye, and they're not concerned about it. Should we be worried as fans? Are you worried?
No, not whatsoever. I can see why it's a story, but a non-story, so to speak. He's apparently, according to reports, he hasn't signed a deal that's been on the table for numerous months now, and that's on him. If he's hoping to get a better contract,
Right, Tony, sorry, I cut you off there.
Yeah, no worries.
We were talking about Iliman Ndiaye.
Yeah.
And whether we should be worried and whether you are worried about the contract situation.
No, not worried. I think Everton, the football club, are in a very strong situation, a very good position in terms of the length of his deal. There's 3 years left on his contract. I can see why it's a story, but not a story, so to speak. The player's got numerous years on his contract. Apparently, according to reports, he's not signed the deals that Everton have offered to him in previous months gone by. If he wants the same pay deal as your Jordan Pickfords and your Jack Grealish of the world, well, good luck to him. He's a very, very good player of ours, and obviously he's worshipped amongst the Everton fan base. But we don't know what he's wanting in terms of deals, release clauses. We just don't know. And obviously that's between the agents and the football club, and we're never going to know that unless the agent comes out and obviously makes it well documented about what his requests are. But from a fan perspective, I think Everton are in a very strong position. 3 years left on his contract. If he wants a move, then he needs, in order to do that, he needs to play out of his skin in the World Cup, and then he needs to put a transfer request in. And if he doesn't do that, then he still plays for Everton. The worry for me is that the last 2 or 3 months of the previous season gone by, his form has dipped alarmingly, and that's the biggest worry for me. So you don't know if that's been on his mind. You don't know if the World Cup's been on his mind, the contract situation. It may be from his perspective, he's wanting to see how Everton improve, because quite clearly his talents belong in the Champions League. He'll want to play in that Champions League. But look at the teams qualified for the Champions League. Would he get in City's team? No. Obviously, Liverpool's situation, you can't see that one obviously happening. Manchester United, would he play for them instead? The likes of Mateus Cunha, Brian Mbeumo, there's an argument for that. Aston Villa, they're in the Champions League as well. Would he get his game for them? Depends what happens with the Morgan Rogers situation. So there's a lot of moving parts in terms of where Iliman Ndiaye sees his future at his level. But it's going to be interesting. But to cut a long story short and go back to your original question, I think Everton holds all the cards in this deal for me.
I'm just going to go back and we're going to say hello to Day again, because I don't know whether people heard anything that you said previously, Day. So welcome to the Royal Blue Podcast. How are things? All good?
All good, thanks, Steve. Yeah.
Are you obviously looking forward to the new season? I know it's been a little bit disappointing the back end of the last 2 months, but positives, negatives, what are your thoughts at this moment in time?
Well, yeah, I mean, first and foremost, we've got to get through the next sort of 6 to 8 weeks. We'll have nothing to do, have we? But yeah, the last season was it was moderate progress, and I think we can all agree on the fact that in the last sort of 7 games we literally fell off a cliff, didn't we? For probably a number of reasons. Some of the team selections, maybe Moyes perhaps relying too heavily on a particular number of players who perhaps got a little bit burnt out. The likes of Ndiaye and Idrissa Gueye going to the African nations, I think had a big impact on us. We had injuries to Grealish, Dewsbury Hall, Branthwaite. So there's a number of reasons why the season wasn't brilliant, and certainly finished in a way that we all didn't want. The trouble being, it was one of those seasons that you don't get very often, where a number of major clubs didn't have great seasons either. So the likes of your Sunderlands, your Brightons, your Brentfords all came through on the rails, not having a great end to seasons themselves, but they didn't need to, because too many of the rest of us sort of failed as well. So certainly looking forward to next season, but it's very much dependent on the transfers that we make, our ability to keep older players like Iliman Ndiaye, and to see what kind of backing we get from the club. And you know, are we looking at another season of stability, or hopefully are we going to make a bit of progress next year? So absolutely looking forward to next year.
Apologies if you couldn't hear Day previously. You can definitely hear him now. As I mentioned, Day is our resident stadium model maker. Do you want to just quickly talk about your stadium model and where people can find how they can purchase one off you?
Yes, well, as I say, I mean, the Royal Blue Podcast are the only podcast that have a resident model maker, which is is something. But yeah, I mean, so I have a small business called modelturnstiles.com, and I make models of turnstiles from any stadium. They are quite nostalgic, quite unique. I've made lots of models from Everton, Manchester United, Crystal Palace, Luton, Sheffield Wednesday, to name but a few. They're great, unique gifts, and they are cost effective for any pocket, really. So depending on what sort of size you want, but yeah, if you feel free to contact me on my website or at modelturnstiles@gmail.com as well. You can send me an email, and then I can respond and potentially take any request that you have.
I still think that you can't see the Hill Dickinson one because we haven't got space for it at the moment, but the Goodison one just is so much better than the Hill Dickinson one. Not that there's any problem with the work of the Hill Dickinson one. I just think it's a little bit more unique, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it just shows you it's a new stadium. It's very nice, very shiny, very bright, but there's not a lot of character to it, is there?
Okay. Back to Ndiaye. I'll come back onto you, Day, in a sec. But so, in terms of, you mentioned this is what potentially Ndiaye may want to stay at Everton. If he continues to stall on this deal, whether that's because reports suggest maybe he won't higher wages, I don't think that's necessarily the case, or does he want to, him and his representatives want a clause inserted in there in terms of a buyout clause? At what point do the club start thinking, well, we need to start looking to sell him here?
If the club will, it depends. It all depends on our model. Is this our model to sign players, get 2 or 3 seasons out of them, and then make a huge profit? Is that our model? I'm sure we'll touch on that shortly in terms of lots of football clubs do that in the Premier League. Brighton, Brentford, Bournemouth, buy them for next to nothing, sell them for a few quid, but it's having your replacement lined up already. Now, it all depends on what's going on behind the scenes. If Everton have got a replacement lined up who's on par with Ndiaye, or could be even better, then I'm all for it. But judging from what I have seen in the past 5-10 years, I'm unsure whether that's the case. When
you say five,
well,
do you mean?
how long do you want to go? Our recruitment's been a mess for the past 5 or 10 years. So I don't.
New recruitment team in.
Well, the new recruitment team, we bought Tyler Dibbling for 40 million. So if you were to say to me, sell Ndiaye and Dibbling, I'd be going. I'm sure many Evertonians go, I'm not so sure on that one. So it's like trusting the process in terms of what our plan is. Now, we don't know what our plan is. We're all guessing. Evertonians are online guessing in terms of what is the plan at Everton, because we don't hear from the owners. All we've heard from anyone at Everton's hierarchy is Angus Kinnear, and there's obviously the stability quote that was well documented in the Everton programme. Now, if that's what Everton are, then he's being honest. Whether we like it or not, if that's our identity from now till next season, then okay, we understand that. But what is it now? So that was a couple of months ago, after obviously before the Sunderland game. Now, what is the direction of the club? Is it to buy young, the likes of Dibbling and Barry, and then sell on? Then, all right, then we can get behind that. Or is it to buy ready-made players now? Jack Grealish, Keane Juice-Biol. Is that the model? What is Everton's model? We don't know. And do you know why we don't know? Because we don't hear from our owners. Have they stepped foot in the stadium since they bought the club? I'm unsure. I don't think they have. So we don't know what the plan is at Everton. Is it short term? Is it long term? Is it to get the best out of the academy? Is it to buy these players, the likes of Ndiaye, for 20 million and sell them on for 80? Is it? We just don't know what the plan is, and that's the thing that we're all second guessing at the moment at the football club.
Yeah, but I don't think we're never gonna hear that, are we? I don't think any club comes out with this is our strategy going forward. So I think we've sort of seen a little bit of a mishmash from last summer. Is you almost had your input from Moyes, so your Dewsbury Halls and your Jack Grealishes came in, and and that was, I would imagine, Moyes has gone, yeah, I'm signing that off. And then, this new recruitment team that's coming behind have gone, well, actually, what we're going to want going forward is we're going to want players with a sellable value. And so we need to buy young with players who've got lots of potential. And I think we saw a bit of a combination of the two. So I don't think it was properly defined last year. I think this is a really prominent summer for us to see which way they're going to go this summer.
So do you not think that Moyes and the recruitment team are aligned then?
Well, no, I think it was too early days last year. That's what I'm saying. It's they sort of brought the recruitment, the recruitment directors in last year. All the heads of the football division and that. they were all new to the game.
So that's what I'm trying to say. So what's the plan? What's the plan this summer then? Does Moyes take over? Does the recruitment team take over? What is the plan? Do we sign ready-made players?
I agree with Day a little bit there, as in, I don't think any football club, unless you're like Real Madrid, where you come out and go, well, we're going to sign all these Galacticos.
No, but you know the identity of the team.
That's
Bournemouth,
fine.
Brighton.
No, but over a certain period of time, don't you? Yeah, that was my next point. So, Bournemouth transfer strategy,
Brentford.
Brighton, Brentford, Crystal Palace's transfer strategy.
Exactly,
all these.
You could even say Newcastle, that they're going to buy wingers. They're going to, you know exactly how they're going to play. And they're like, at Everton, I don't understand what the plan is.
I agree, because we've got a manager who has now got only 12 months left on his contract.
Yeah.
Reading between the lines from Angus Kinnear's notes, programme notes, I believe that they're not going to offer him a new deal. They're just going to let this run. That could obviously change. Look, Moyes could have a belter of a season and fans could be clamouring for Moyes to stay. Offer him at least another rolling deal, offer him 2-3 year deal. All these things are in play. I just think that no club is ever going to come out and go, this is what we're going to do. Everton cannot come out this summer and go, well, we're not, quote, a selling club, but if we receive an offer high enough, then we're going to sell this particular player. It just happens.
Yeah, I understand that, but what I'm trying to say is that I want to know what the plan is at Everton. We've just, I know it's new to the owners and everything else, but they've been here, 18 months now?
Yeah.
So what is their short-term plan? Is it to make a quick buck and then get out?
Well, I don't think that, my personal opinion, based on what I've seen, is they wanted to come in, make the club more commercially successful, run the club more like a business to what it wasn't previously. And I honestly do think, this is through no insight, this is just personal opinion, I think that certainly within the next 3 to 4 years, if Everton have become more successful on the pitch, if they've become a lot more commercially successful, I think the valuation will obviously go up.
But they got the club for next to nothing anyway.
They'll sell the club.
Yeah.
I think there's clear indications that is their intentions, but they're never going to come out and say that.
I get that, but it's just frustrating.
It might not be bad.
I know, and I fully respect your opinion.
On the fence there,
but when I look at Premier League football clubs, and this is the thing at Everton, which I'm trying to get across here, I look at like the identity of how that club is structured. I look at their plan. Straight away, but looking at that Premier League table, I know Fulham's run, I know Palace's run, I know Brighton, Brentford, United. You just know how the football club structures. At Everton, I just don't get it.
But this is why the summer is huge.
It's bigger than last summer. And it all ties in with the Ndiaye situation. And that's what I mean, is that, are we a big club where we go, right, no takers, that's it, he's staying, end of story? Or do we say, right, this is what we do. We buy small, sell big, get the replacements in and churn them out like Brentford do. Striker after striker after striker. Do you know what I mean? If Ivan Toney comes, Thiago comes in, and Bueno comes in, Visser comes in, they know exactly what they're doing. So that's what I'm trying to get across here, is that, do we know the structure and the plan of what this football club is?
Well, go on, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say, but I think times have moved on as well, Tony. I think football now, more than ever before, it's completely about business.
100%.
It doesn't matter what owners are in charge. Then the Freakins, what they're interested in is how much money they can make out of this club, how much they can churn around, and how profitable we can be as an organisation. What is going to put them in a position where they're going to have to spend as little money as possible on transfers and everything else. It's about making the club as commercially sustainable as it can be. So I think with any players, there's no player in our squad will not be sellable.
Yeah.
They're all expendable, and Iliman Ndiaye is no different than anybody else.
Go on, sorry.
Yeah, and for us, I think we've just got to appreciate the fact that as much as we all love him, and he's a very, very talented player, great to watch. By the way, he hasn't contributed from goals or assists in the way that we wanted him to last season. So we have to think, how much money can we potentially get for him, and what will we be able to do with any money that we get? I think, as much as I love Ndiaye, and he's given me some of the best moments we've had over the last couple of years, I'm thinking now is I want him to have a really good World Cup, so that while we've got that control, while we've got a little bit of power in our pockets, go, well, if Ndiaye has a good World Cup and somebody comes to us and says, you know what, Real Madrid say, we'll give you 80 million quid for him, we'll snap the hand off and we'll take it, and we'll hopefully churn it back into the team. So.
Yeah, I mean, I want to get back onto Ndiaye, and I'll read out some comments from the audience in a sec. Just quickly, so you've mentioned a couple of teams there where you see a clear vision and a clear model. So you mentioned Brighton, the usual suspect, Brighton, Bournemouth, Brentford. You have to use those three.
Even Newcastle and
that's
what
I mean. So you also mentioned Villa and Newcastle. Do you put all of them in the same group, or are Villa and Newcastle separate to those three? Because the reason I asked that is because Villa and Newcastle were both relegated, and have basically leapfrogged Everton. I think, what was it? Villa were relegated in 2015-16. Now that was like the year Mashiri took over. Now I'm not going to go onto Mashiri and the pitfalls and everything that kind of went on with them, but they've bounced back clubs. They've won trophies. They've qualified for the Champions League. So have they followed the Brighton, the Bournemouth, the Brentford model, or have they done it differently, or are they just bigger clubs?
Obviously, what Newcastle's done, obviously the ownership come in, they spent a fortune, and now they're having to deal with PSR issues themselves.
Yeah, they spent money.
And obviously that's why Andy Gordon's getting sold and Isak left and everything else, and they're obviously trying to catch the tail. That's why they had a terrible season, because you don't only take it so far. Aston Villa have done it perfect. A, they've got a world-class manager, and B, they got John McGinn for basically $2 million. He was playing in the Championship with them.
Does that imply that we haven't got a world-class manager?
Of course we haven't. Emery, and I'd say... Who else would you say is in even Pep Guardiola's gone now? There's not many yet.
Joking.
So you've got, and they can sign, obviously it's recruitment, what Villa have done brilliantly.
But they've sold players as well.
Of course they have. Of course they forced to sell, but they're doing it the right way, so they know quite well. Aston Villa will probably sign Morgan Rodgers this summer, probably to Arsenal or whoever it may be. Yeah. And I'll second guess here that they'll have his replacements already lined up for sure, and that's what they do. So it's having that stock behind you, and I'm unsure how if Everton have got Ndie's replacement lines up.
Yeah,
I'd be pretty adamant that Newcastle, even though with their PSR situation, would have Anthony Gordon's replacement lines up, Morgan Rodgers' replacement lines up. All these football clubs. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm unsure because we just don't know what the plan is.
I think we're all unsure because we haven't seen enough from the recruitment team. Certainly nothing in January.
Yeah.
And the recruitment team wasn't fully integrated and together in the summer. Hence why, as I've said, this summer is absolutely huge. I mean, just address some questions and we'll come back on to Ndiaye. So Wheels Wings Cornwall says, I'd sell him. He's slow, he's lazy, he doesn't track back, and he loses the ball all the time. Simon 009 says, if Ndiaye leaves, then we just move on. The club is bigger than any one player.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it will help us level up the squads that is lacking quality and depth.
Yeah.
Tazul Islam, we actually did quite well without the AFCON players. We won at Forest, we won at Villa. It's nonsense that we have a poor squad. It's just Moyes refuses to use the players available to him. And Chris Roberts says, we can't afford to lose our better players in any event, particularly as our recruitment team has been so poor. So a bit of a mixed bag of questions there, of opinions. Day, I mean, you mentioned there, Ndiaye, I think it's fair to say that his season hasn't been as good as maybe what we want it to be. I don't know whether it's too high a praise to say he set the Premier League alight in a couple of games this season, because all you could see on social media, certainly after the Sunderland game where he scored that fantastic goal, the Manchester City game away where we lost, probably a couple of others that I can't think off the top of my head. Rival fans were just praising him like, this Ndie's a baller, what a fantastic player he's going to be, or he is. Look at his stats. He scored 6 goals this season. 2 of them were pens and 3 of them were assists. The season before, he scored 9 goals, 2 of them were pens and 0 assists. So balancing it all up, as much as we love him, as much as we like to sing his name, as much as he is an absolute baller on the pitch, his output actually isn't fantastic for maybe what you would think as a high class player.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't agree that he's lazy. I don't think he's that type of player. He just has chased back, and he's strong in the tackle. I actually think he's an incredible footballer. But you're right, he's there to provide us with goals and assists, as to be as creative as he can be. And I know it's difficult when you've got the strikers that we've got. You know, we're not blessed at the moment, are we, with our strike force? But yeah, we're quite heavily reliant, and we have been reliant on Ndiaye, you know, and Kieran Dewsbury-Hall to be actually, you know, to get us goals, and Ndiaye's been lacking in that. This, you know, certainly since the turn of the year, he, you know, did he score a goal in the last half of the season? Not even sure that he did.
I mean, I'll let you carry
Chelsea,
on.
wasn't
It was the Chelsea game was the last one. He had the goal.
I didn't see that.
He had the goal disallowed against Liverpool, which obviously would have been fantastic. We all know that. But look, he missed a couple of gilt-edged chances, didn't he? Certainly in the City game. Which I was criticised for bringing up in one of the podcasts. But I thought it was a little bit relevant, considering we didn't win the game.
Yeah.
I mean, we look back, we've been blessed with some really talented wingers as well, and you know, and I sort of fits into that bracket. But you know, I remember the likes of Stephen Pienaar and Kevin Morales and stuff like that. I mean, they were bagging like, you know, 10 goals apiece, and the assists was probably equally amount as well. I think Ndiaye flatters to deceive a little bit. He's exceptional taking people on his feet, or you know, he's a very gifted footballer, but his return from goals and assists is something that we really need, and we don't get it from him enough. So
I think you could say that across the whole squad as well. We're talking about Ndiaye. We're not just picking on him. It's just the topical points of the podcast.
You can read too much into stats, by the way.
No,
assist is probably the worst stat you could throw at any player.
But who was the last Everton player to have good stats in terms of goals and assists?
When I'm watching footballers, I watch them on the eye. Because you think about it, when obviously lads are doing data analysis, I respect everything in terms of when the data guys and the analytics come in on players. Brentford, Brighton and Bournemouth are quite high on them, but they also go and scout these players as well on the eye. When you're given a list of assists and goals and XG and everything else, it's like, does this player's personality come out in them stats? No, it doesn't. Does this player do enough away from home when the chips are down? Does this player want to know when you're down to 10 men? Them numbers don't add on your XG or your assists. I'm not being funny. If Iliman Ndiaye, what did he get? Like 4 or 5 assists. He can't help better want to put the ball in the back of the net. Or Barry. That's not his problem. If he's playing behind Harry Kane or Erling Haaland, he has 20 assists a season. So assists for me, don't get me going on it.
I know, but I just think it's all relevant, isn't it? You know, goals and assists, they're the players that you look for when you're signing these players. I think the problem that we've got, I agree with you. Look, Iliman Ndiaye, there's no one denying that he's a fantastic footballer. He's definitely one of the top footballers in the Premier League. Technically, he's technically gifted.
Very good.
But if we keep Ndiaye, does bringing better players in around him help improve his numbers, or would we be better off selling him for a higher price and bringing in maybe a different type of profile of player, or a player who has got the potential there to maybe surpass an Iliman Ndiaye? 4 numbers.
If you were to ask me now, if the board and obviously the recruitment team and Moyes are all getting together and go, right, if we were to sell him in Iliman Ndiaye now, we'd probably get the best price for him now with 3 years left on his contract. Whereas if this time next year, his price is only going to go down,
doesn't it?
Especially if he has a good World Cup as well this summer. You're not going to get any higher than what he's going for this summer. But it all depends on who the buying club is. So it depends if they've got the money to stump up and they want him. Exactly. And then you've got to say, right, well, what are his replacements? Who is out there in the Premier League, all around the world, by the way, who is there that could go and get A, the numbers that you were quoting, but B, do all the other stuff that he does?
You're dead right, though.
Who is that? Who can you trust to go and get that? Now, I'm unsure whether we're that attractive to a player. Now, we only got him because he was obviously sulking in France playing for Marseille at the time. He couldn't get a kick. He had a terrible season in France. That's why you got him for next to nothing. He left from Sheffield United, ripped it up there, got a move to France, and it didn't work out for him, and Everton got him on the cheap because of it. Now, he's played well for Everton since he's come to the Premier League, so it's like, what's his next step? He wants to play in the Champions League, so what do we do? Do we go, right, cash in on him now, get there, I don't know, just quoting numbers here, 60, 70, 80 million, whatever it is you're getting for him, and then go, right, what are we doing? We need to get a better player than him as a replacement. Because, and it all depends on the Jack Grealish situation as well. Do we re-sign him? So logically, you'd think as a business, hang on, we're selling one of our best players, but then we're keeping Jack Grealish, who's 31, and he's, 5 years younger. Doesn't make sense. So it depends on if Everton at a short-term fix or a long-term model. Again, it all comes to the plan from the owners.
James Graham has kind of answered my question a little bit and says, with bringing in players around him to improve him, a fullback instantly improves Ndiaye.
Yeah,
that's James Graham's
on
comment.
either flank. On either flank, doesn't it?
I was going to say, and you're dead right, because you know it is about how good on the eye a player is, and on the eye, Ndiaye is he's been the best player that we've had in a number of years for his footwork, his quality, and that. But when it comes to what you need as a team, you know, what would you do to like replacing Ndiaye or something with a Luca Dean or a Leighton Baines, who are actually fullbacks, but would provide you with far more goals? You know, I know we've been crying out for like fullbacks for a long time and all that, but actually, the kind of team, do we want to be the kind of team that has a flair player who can get us the odd goal here and there, or do we want to be a team that, you know, have got fast full-backs who've got superb delivery and can actually maybe get something out of our strikers, you know, pumping those sort of crosses over, or just linking up with the play and actually getting us to sort of transition our play better and get us scoring goals in that way. Do we actually need a player of an Ndiaye's you know, skills? Is it going to create more for us than if we actually look at the whole sort of structures of the team?
There's two arguments to this in terms of improving Ndiaye, why his form has dipped. So you could look at, imagine, as Dave's just touched on, imagine him with a decent fullback. So how many times have we seen this season Iliman Ndiaye double marked? He's got two men on him all the time. He's having to dig through, and that's what he's man marked permanently. So you can only imagine a fullback overlapping him, taking a runner out the game, all of a sudden frees him up. And also as well, imagine a decent centre forward who moves. Our two centre forwards are static unless we're playing away from home and the ball's over the top. So you can only imagine a player that actually makes runs off the ball. Ollie Watkins, for example, imagine his runs, dart and runs in between the lines are perfect for them balls of Morgan Rogers plays. So you can only imagine Iliman Ndiaye with a player, a centre forward that makes them dart and runs all the time, and an overlapping fullback. It'd be 10 times the player he is now.
I think Everton are in a win-win situation as of right now. They've got the leverage because it's 3 years.
Yeah.
It's very rare that a player is offered a new contract when he's got like 3 years left. The issue that Everton have got, or why they probably have, is that he is to be considered one of Everton's, or if not Everton's best player.
And I think he's not on the best of money.
That's what I mean.
As well.
So they obviously want to keep him on good terms. By all accounts, he's happy at the club. But with 3 years left, then he has this World Cup. Say he has a fantastic World Cup. Say if he stays into the summer and we keep him into next season, you know, it's better for obviously for both parties if he has a fantastic season. Yeah. If he doesn't, then you know that's his fault. So you know you can look at it that way. But then Everton have still got the following summer 2 years left to then kind of decide what they want to do. If he has a fantastic season, he's gonna ask for bigger wages. Fine, we'll give you the bigger wages. But then if what we know is this clause of in terms of how much his representatives want this clause to be in his contract, then we can just say, listen, you've just had a blinder of a season, so your valuation has clearly gone up. It should be 70, 80 million. So look, I can understand why the club may be coming out or have suggested and leaked stuff, say, well, we're not massively concerned because there is the 3 years. I mean, I've got to ask this question, Dave. Bringing in new players, does that improve Ndiaye? You've kind of answered that, but is Moyes getting the best out of Ndiaye? Because you would honestly say, based on the season that he's had, he's not. Based on the stats, goals and assists. Now, I know we can have the debate whether moving out to the right has helped him. You can I don't think it necessarily has. I know he's moved out to the right to accommodate Grealish. Ironically, when he was moved back to the left towards the back end of the season, that's kind of when he dropped off a cliff a little is Moyes going to be able to get the best out of Ndiaye over the course of the next like 12 to 24 months?
He's a strange player, Ndiaye, isn't he? When you say can Moyes get the best out of him, he's got such natural ability that, you know, I think it's...
But in terms of playing him in his correct position, you know, like using him, utilising him where he's going to be most effective.
Well, I agree, and actually I think I think in playing over on the right, I think I was disappointed that they moved him away from the right, because I actually thought beginning of the season, you remember we played Wolves away and it was a great performance. Grealish was great on the left hand side, Dewsbury Hall was great in the middle, and then Ndiaye had a great game. I think he scored at least one. Is it one or two he scored? I think it was one goal he scored, but he had a great game, and he did it in several other games where he was appearing at the back post for balls that were laid across, and we looked actually a far better team for it. When Grealish moved out and then he brought McNeil in to play on the right, it just seemed to throw the balance off altogether. So I actually think he'd have been better off playing out on the right. So can Moyes get the best? Well, I mean, Moyes hasn't made all the right decisions this year, has he, on a number of things? I don't think playing McNeil, bringing McNeil in and sort of choosing him over perhaps Merlin Roll or Charlie Alcaraz was the right thing to do, but no, I don't think moving Iliman Ndiaye away from the right was the right thing to do anyway. But so
I think as well, we picked up a couple of 1 or 2 decent results when McNeil was in the team, but I don't claim to be an expert, and I'm sure we'd all agree. Dwight McNeil was on the right, and naturally the most left-footed player you've ever seen, and he pushed Ndiaye back over to the left. For me, that it would be the other way around. I probably would have kept Ndiaye on the right. I said that months ago when Grealish got injured. I don't necessarily want to see Ndiaye pushed over to the left, even though he was our top goal scorer last season.
You can make numerous examples. Iliman Ndiaye is a very, very good footballer.
I want to see him
regardless of where you put him.
As the number 10, to be honest.
So the way you put Dewsbury Hall, is he going to centre midfield?
Deeper, yeah.
And then obviously then you're putting James Garner and then Keane Dewsbury Hall as your centre midfield. That's a different, obviously, discussion altogether. You listen, from what I've seen of him, it is, but you're leaving yourself wide open with the back four that we've currently got. So I look at it in terms of Iliman Ndiaye. You put him anywhere on the pitch, he's a good footballer. Even look at numerous examples this season. I've seen him on the right-hand side at Sunderland's away, cuts inside, takes 4 players on, puts in the top corner. That was playing on the right-hand side. And then we see him on the left-hand side against Chelsea. He's on his left side, cuts inside, right foot, top corner against Chelsea. The goal against Brighton on the opening day. On the right side, Grealish cuts it in. He's darting in to score the goal at the first game. So there's numerous examples. You can make an argument and a case for either. He's a very, very good footballer, regardless of whether he's on the right or the left. He needs players on his level. That makes him a better player.
What's the drop off then for you? From what you've seen and what you've witnessed? Certainly after the Chelsea game. I know. Look, he had the goal disallowed, didn't he, against Liverpool? And it'd probably be a different conversation that we're having now if that's allowed. Has he played too much football with the AFCON as well? Travelling, you've got to take all that into account. Is there I think I've said that this is the case, but there's been too much of an over-reliance on an Ndiaye, a Kane and Dewsbury Hall to be the ones to make stuff happen because we consider them to be our best creative players.
Oh, I take all that into consideration. I totally agree with what you've said. I think there's been a lot of emphasis on him to do it and no one else in the side. Because Grealish got injured, it's been like, right, if Ndiaye doesn't do it, well, what's the answer? And obviously, if he's getting man-marked, don't get me wrong, he should have been playing a hell of a lot better than what he has been. I think his mind has been on the World Cup. I thought, listen, he might get to play in a World Cup again for Senegal. So he thought, this is my golden opportunity. I'm not going to risk an injury, which you can quite see a lot of Premier League players have done in the past couple of months. That's why their form has dipped. And you've got to take into consideration that he's getting double marked, as I touched on. He's played a lot of minutes this season. His form's dropped off. He'll probably be the first to admit that. Only he knows why. Could be numerous reasons why. But in the main, he's been a fantastic football for Everton, and we need to keep hold of our better players. But it also depends on what the structure at Everton wants. Now, if they see if a big comes in this summer, if he rips it up obviously in the States, if he plays well and a big comes in, then Moyes and obviously the recruitment team and the board have to get together and go, right, if that bid comes in, do we accept it? But what I'd hope, Ian, and as I've touched on there with the Newcastle situation with Gordon, with Aston Villa, with Morgan Rodgers, they'll have their replacements lined up. And pray to God that Everton will have his replacement lined up already. Because we've known for the best part of 18 months, he's not going to stay with Everton for another 18 months. Far from it. He's too good of a footballer. So we need to make sure. So if we can see it on the eye, surely the recruitment team should be searching the globe as well as searching for this striker that we haven't replaced for the best part of 10 or 15 years since Lukaku left. We still haven't. So as well as searching for a centre forward, we should have been obviously making sure that we go and find the next one of him, or a replacement that's just as better.
Can I ask, what happens with Tyler Dibbling?
We've done several pods on it.
What happens with him going forward? I mean, you could turn around and say, well, actually, we've got a natural replacement for him if he's got that kind of ability and that. But what happens with him? We spent £40 million on this lad. And I don't know what...
I think we're going to see a lot of him in pre-season. Yeah. I think we will. And I think the recruitment team and Moyes will make their minds up from what they see in the summer. Because what's he played... He still played about 7 or 8 games this season. This season,
I just think you've got to go. You've got to give him game time. You've got to. There's absolutely no way he can go out on loan.
I mean, have you come away from that game going, right, you've got to play there?
You can't send your £40 million winger out on loan next season. You just can't do it. He's got to be integrated into the 11.
But if he's not good enough, and if they've made a blooper, then what do you do?
Well, then you sell him, and you.
Well, that might happen. That's what I'm trying to say.
Then,
that might happen. Yeah. That might have to happen.
All right. We can do another podcast on Tyler Dibbling.
It's up to get an 8 there, haven't you?
Sorry about that.
Sorry, Roy Nixon agrees with you, So the recruitment team should have identified 4 players in every position on the pitch in order of preference and be ready to move now. That's what they are there for.
I agree.
I think they did that last year with Dibbling as well, because I think Moyes wanted to take several other right wingers before he wanted to Dibbling.
He wanted Grealish, obviously.
I think the club were a little bit naive in the summer, and maybe David Moyes was a little bit naive. He came back to Everton, obviously, was it January? So it was his first proper time to recruit, buy players in. I think he'd missed the past 9-10 years of what had actually happened at Everton. He probably thought this new stadium's going to be a pull. This is Everton. We struggled to buy players that you could tell how annoyed
maybe
he was.
He's frustrated because he was coming out in pre-season in America going, I'm frustrated here as the fans why we aren't getting these players in.
To be fair, look, I know the club maybe tried to be ambitious. Maybe, look, I'm not criticising ambition, but maybe they were a little bit too ambitious at times. They were going for Fofana, wasn't it, from Lyon, and he didn't want to know.
Delapino when he was going to Chelsea.
Exactly, Champions League clubs. There was no way we were going to compete.
No.
Just back to Ndiaye before we move on to the selling club talking points. So, someone says a few bad games and everyone wants to see the back of Ndiaye. The same people trying to tell you Michael Keane and Dwight McNeil are reliable players. I mean, I don't think anyone wants to see the back of Ndiaye. I just think we're being realistic. And Mark Foster says Ndiaye's stock may never be higher as an Everton player than post the World Cup. Realistically, I think we sell him. His book value to us is £9 million, and I think an offer of 55 million plus add-ons, and we will sell. So look, hopefully this doesn't roll on too much, this situation, but as per usual, it probably will. I mean, look, we've just kind of touched upon this, Tony, a little bit in terms of selling club. And look, remember when we sold Rooney? I feel like that kind of scarred us a little bit. And there's been players previously to Rooney who we sold. We wanted to keep it was always keep your best players and build a squad, build a team around that particular player. But I think they touched upon it a little bit. The landscape of football has kind of changed a little bit now in terms of every single club, probably bar outside the top 5-6, are kind of hamstrung a little bit in terms of selling. You've talked about Villa, Newcastle. They've won trophies. They've qualified for Champions League, Europa League, but they're still having to sell. Is it now just a case of do we see over the next couple of years where Everton not become a selling club, but it's just that model that you talked about earlier on in the podcast where if an offer comes in, then fine, we sell our best player, whether that's 60-70 million for whoever, and that replacement should be there lined up, and then we go again with that new player.
I just don't think it's an Everton situation. I think football's a business now, and I think not just the outside the top 4 or 5, whatever you want to call it. I think even the big clubs sell their best players.
Yeah, when we spoke at Liverpool, struggled to keep some of their best players.
Liverpool are a prime example. Yeah. They won the league, and they had the best right back on the planet wanting to leave the club, who was one of their own. And he went, I'm out. And they couldn't keep hold of him. They knew he was going to Real Madrid. They knew, so much so he was speaking Spanish. It's on his first day. They knew he was going, and they couldn't do anything about it.
There's a lot of that going around.
Andy Gordon's caught it as well. So I just look at, like, if Liverpool can't keep hold of their best players after winning the title, then what chance has anyone got? And he was one of their own from the academy. So you've got, obviously, everyone wants out to Chelsea at the moment because their form's dipped. You've got Enzo Fernandez wants out, Caicedo apparently as well. All the big clubs will sell their players if they want out. It's as simple as that. Player power holds the cards in this game because it's a money situation, it's a business. Whereas in years ago, in the 1960s and 70s, managers had the power and the influence.
You're not that old, are you?
No, but there's numerous examples of when the managers hold all the cards.
Yeah,
they held them all.
charge,
They went, right, you're staying. I'll put you
on
in
the bench, you're in the reserves.
I'll put you in the reserves. Where you can't do that now because you just have the chairman knocking on your door going, you can't have Iliman Ndiaye playing with the under-23s. It's costing us an arm and a leg. He's on that amount of money, and with each passing week, his value is going down, and that's what you're going to have. So the players hold all the cards. Every Premier League club is a selling club, whether you like it or not, not just Everton.
I think all clubs are making. There's a realisation now that what's gone on over probably the past 20 years. It's not sustainable. Every club needs to sort of. To try and build, a little nest egg. They're all looking for players that they can sell on. It's not just Bournemouth and your Brentfords now who are doing that. All clubs, whether they be the top clubs, the big clubs, they're all looking to sell players on. I mean, aren't Arsenal linked with that? What's the? I can't ever pronounce his name. The left winger, the number 7. They've got a PSG.
Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah, I can't say.
Good enough there.
Yeah, but Arsenal, apparently they're going all out for him, in the summer. And if Paris Saint-Germain might just feel, if we can get the top dollar for him, maybe we'll move him on as well.
In terms of, obviously, look, we're all Everton fans, so this is a question for all of us. But just to you, Day, we all love Everton players when they do well, and we always feel like that there should be that connection. But for me, I try to differentiate myself from that now because
getting older, wiser.
Maybe I don't know about wiser, but definitely getting older. I just think if you invest that much into a certain player, they're eventually kind of going to break your heart. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Is that, as a fan for you, is that gone now, that connection? Because even from a football club point of view, it is ruthless, isn't it? I mean, just to use as an example, Bournemouth, who in January were probably floundering mid-table, they sold Semenyo and then immediately replaced Semenyo with Ryan.
Yeah.
They don't care now because they've improved. Yeah. If anything, who's Semenyo to Bournemouth fans? No one. They've got Ryan now. So it is almost like a conveyor belt of players as well, isn't it?
I mean, we've been spoiled, haven't we, with a couple of our players, the Phil Jagielkas, but particularly like the Seamus Coleman, who, we've had an affiliation to, and he's had an affiliation to us for a number of years, and you do fall in love with these players, and you love their loyalty and the commitment to the club and all that. Nothing better than somebody who you sort of feel like is homegrown and wears his heart on his sleeve and loves your club. But that's not the model anymore. And the sooner, I suppose, we as supporters can turn around and say, we need to stop being as loyal to the players as they are to us anymore. And then we'll all sort of perhaps breathe a little bit easier and sleep a little bit sounder. There is no loyalty in football anymore. It's all about them wanting to, the best players wanting to win stuff, going to the bigger clubs, experiencing the greatest opportunities that like European football and international football can provide them. So we need to, as Evertonians, we need to realise that as well. And don't be just saying, we need to keep Iliman Ndiaye because he's one of our best players. Doesn't matter. As a business, we need to look at what the next Iliman Ndiaye is and you hopefully get 2 or 3 great seasons out of, another great talented player and then maybe make 100 million quid out of him.
Danny Broderick says, we need to cherry pick players from the Championship like other clubs are looking to do. So, I mean, we haven't mentioned them on the pod. We're going to discuss them more in depth on Friday's pod. But Hackney from Borough, so is that a player? I don't know whether you know too much about him. He was the Championship Player of the Year.
He was,
so he's obviously got some sort of pedigree. We know how much of a jump it is from the Championship to the Premier League. But again, that just kind of shows the market that we're maybe swimming in.
Yeah, I agree. And listen, a couple of numerous examples of that is that we've signed a lot of players from the Championship who've worked well out for us in previous years gone by.
Typical Moyes like
it
targets,
is, but exactly, yeah. They're like your Tim Cahill's, your Phil Jagielkas, your Joleon Lescott of the world. They all come from the Championship. You do your due diligence on them, and I'm sure that he's got all the tools to play in the Premier League to become the Championship best player. But it's just a position where. And again, there's moving. I spoke to my brother about this. He said that's not a position that we need to be focusing on. It's fullbacks and centre forwards. And I get that. I said, but at this moment, we all know as Evertonians we need a centre forward and we need fullbacks. But the situation in terms of our targets for them mightn't be available at the moment. So we might have to go down to. Because David Moyes has mentioned this last summer in terms of what we want in player A is not available. So for example, Everton may be interested in Liam Delap. Now, if Everton are interested in Liam Delap, they may have to wait until Alonso has his first meeting with the Chelsea players in a couple of weeks' time, whatever it may be. So that's why we're concentrating on this position. Yet we all want to focus on centre forward position, but we can't do anything about that until Chelsea have the conversation with Delap and his future. And that's obviously talking about fullbacks. We're linked with Adam Wan-Bissaka at the moment, but obviously his situation with his manager and there might be a conversation for next week. So there's all moving parts of different conversations in terms of who their targets are. So at the moment, probably Everton have spoken to Middlesbrough about obviously the availability about him, because maybe Middlesbrough have gone, right, we need to sell him now because the stock's the highest it's ever going to be in the Championship, and we're looking to obviously kick on for next season, obviously play. So we need to sell him, where there's other meetings going on with other players. It's moving parts of this. It just doesn't happen overnight in terms of we've just got to focus on this position and that's it.
No, I agree. And I think, look, there's question marks over, or there's a debate whether what's priority. We definitely know what the priority is, certainly right back. But if Idrissa Gana Gueye doesn't sign his contract, that then position does become the priority as well. So I guess there's conversations going to be had with Idrissa Gana Gueye. Look, I'd probably, just very quickly on that, I'd probably keep Idrissa Gana Gueye, but he cannot be the first midfield name on the team sheet.
He's got to be a bench warmer.
He's got to be used sparingly. I don't think there's anyone denying that he can still do a job, even at his age. And he's going to go to the World Cup and he's going to play a huge amount of football over the past 12 to 18 months. But look, he can't be the first name on a team sheet.
I totally agree.
Right, just very quickly, just do questions and then we'll do the quick fire. So LTL says, I don't know why we moved away from a director of football model. I mean, we still don't know whether this model is going to work, do we? This recruitment team model. So we just need to give it time.
It's because we had Steve Walsh, we had Marcel Brands, we had Kevin Thelwell, and it kind of didn't work for us. We didn't exactly, because obviously famously at the time Everton signed 3 number 10s, didn't he? Sigurdsson, Rooney and Klassen, because obviously the chairman was having his say, the owner was having his say, and the manager was having his say, and that's why obviously we ended up with PSR issues and point deductions, because it was an absolute mess. So that was the director of football model. Now I'm unsure whether the director of football model is still existing in the Premier League at the higher levels. I'm not unsure whether it works or not. Only the successful clubs will be able to tell you if that's the case. There's a lot of pressure obviously on Richard Hughes at Liverpool at the moment, because there's obviously the signings last summer at Liverpool. So whether recruitment team or the director of football is the model that you want to go along, it all boils down to one thing: is about you need to get your recruitment right, regardless. Regardless of, you need to have your replacements lined up already. It's no coincidence Brighton, Brentford and Bournemouth are the best models for it, because they have the replacements lined up as we speak. So it doesn't matter who they are, they have them lined up, and it's about making sure you're on the front foot.
Yeah. Last comment, I'll put this to you. So I think we discussed this just before we came on. I think my stance with Moyes, because you did ask me, and I don't think it's as straightforward, and I can imagine the comments coming in here. I don't think it's as straightforward as just saying Moyes in, Moyes out. But what I would say is, Brian Burns says, if Moyes only has 1 year left on his contract, what's the point in giving him money to spend? We've got a new manager who will arrive potentially in 12 months with a whole host of players that he didn't buy previously. So that's kind of, I'm in agreement with that. It's like, if you're not gonna offer Moyes a new contract, whether it's a rolling or a 2-year deal following on from next season, what's the point in keeping him for this season? I think that's where I'm at, and I think Brian's kind of touched on it there.
Oh, yeah, God, I mean, where's my head at with this one? Because I think, like,
basically, are you Moyes in or Moyes out?
Do you know what? If you'd have asked me on the last day of the season, or walking out of that Sunderland game, I'd have gone, I've had enough. Moyes has got to go. And yet, at the time we were all thinking, well, Iriola's going, he's going to be available, and Glasser's going to be available. So, actually, we need to move now and go and get. We were never going to get any of those managers, were we? So, I don't see the point in us just jumping. We made errors over a decade, changing manager after manager after manager. We need a period of stability. Now, Moyes will give us that, and we're not saying that Moyes is going to, take us to the stars or to the moon. But I think the right way for us to go as a club is to just realise, it's got to be a gradual. It's got to be a gradual improvement. And if we have to now, we just say, we need to just stick with Moyes for the next couple of years, and if we have to, just give him a contract so that he can go and buy the players and build a team. We know that Moyes has done it in the past. He built some of the best teams that I've watched at Everton over the last 20 years. He's shown he can do it. We have to, for me now, and I know people will probably slag me off and tell me, you're just a Moyes lover. I just think we need.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, we just need a period of sustainability and stability and a slow growth. So I think, yes, give Moyes the money to spend, but you do have to say we need to keep him in place there for 2 or 3 years.
Just some advice after that answer. I wouldn't go on your Twitter.
Basically, we've had 9 managers in 10 years.
Yeah.
And where's it got us?
Well, Liverpool must be starting to worry. I mean, they've had
13th.
They've had 3 managers.
And that's one of our highest placed finishes, isn't it?
12th under Dyche, or we would have been 12th under Dyche without the points.
Yeah. So this is one of our, and I'm not obviously what I'm looking for. Obviously, as Dave touched on, you want that steady progress, considering the mess we've been in on and off the pitch. By the way, 9 managers in 10 years is never going to make pleasant reading. That's why we've been in this mess. What I'm trying to say is that I'm hoping, with Moyes left 1 year left in his contract, I would be hoping as an Evertonian that they'd be speaking to Moyes right now, going, right, you've got 1 year left on your deal. We identify Coach A next season taking over when you've left the football club, and I want you to bring this model to him in terms of identifying the players with this coach, whoever it may be. I don't know, who's a young manager out there that we could possibly get identified. Right, he's going to be our man next season. We're going to be going for him. We've identified him, and Moyes, you're going to be working and trying to sign players to work along this model because you've got 1 year left. I'd be hoping that would be good. I'd be hoping that that's the case, but I'm not so sure that the owners are on board with that. I seriously think they're just saying to Moyes, keep us ticking over in this stadium as a Premier League club, because that's what they've given him in terms of funds.
Do you think Moyes would, we're going to finish in a minute, but do you think Moyes would accept that though?
It doesn't matter what he's accepting. I'd say that's what's happening. If you're the owner, you're a powerful. You own the football club. You say, this is your model. You signed a 2.5 year deal. You've been here 18 months. We're looking to get this young progressive manager that seems to be the flavour of the month. So what is the option?
I think, I can't get in David Moyes' head, but from what I know of David Moyes from the outside looking in, if the owners have come to him and said, this is all we want from you, and this is what we're going to give you.
Yeah,
he's under huge pressure now, Moyes. A bad start to the season. Yeah, and he's, he could be. Could be.
And then what you do? You end up sacking someone.
So, if it was me, look, I know Moyes is professional, and he wouldn't potentially come out and say this, but he has come out previously and aired his frustrations at lack of transfer activity. For me, I just think Moyes wouldn't stand for that.
No. So basically, the owners basically need to communicate and tell us the plan of the football club. So what's going to happen? But not really, because they've said absolutely nothing. We don't know the plan.
But you're making an assumption as well there that the directors of football, or not the directors, but the people behind the scenes know, or they've identified somebody that we'll go and get in 12 months.
So why did Crystal Palace sack their manager and not identified exactly who's coming? Brentford, Brighton, they already know. Liverpool sacked Slot last week. They knew quite well Adeola was lined up.
But I said this the day before we started. If he's going to stay for 12 months and 12 months only, let's hope they've got someone lined up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm effectively saying. Let's hope that the coach that they've identified to take this football club going forward, Do you have this conversation with Moyes going, right, you've got these 12 months, work alongside who you think or who this future coach will be, and identify the players to suit his style of playing, the way you dress it.
No,
and then you'll be saying to Moyes after your contract finishes, upstairs and take over recruitment, because that's one thing.
People suggest that's not going to happen.
Well, if that's not the case, then what is?
So he's basically got one season of 12 months to effectively win a domestic trophy, which is, hard trophy to do, or at least qualify to be considered a success in this term.
In the top 8 or something like that, yeah. That's on his agenda.
And what happens if that?
What's the ambition?
I think he would probably think next season, if he did well, I mean, I know he's getting on a little bit, don't want to be ageist or anything, but if he does well, as in, say, qualifies for Europa League or Conference League, I think he'll think he deserves another year.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we'll come to that when next season, when we're in a good position to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Danny J says Stability FC, and here's a nice comment for you, Day. So James Dean says, Ian, could you give Day a big thank you for me? I recognised him from previous podcasts after the Liverpool game, and he kindly gave me a Hill Dickinson turnstile. It's up in my son's bedroom. Looks quality.
Lovely. That's good feedback. Can't beat that.
Right. Yeah. Quick fire. Dead quick. Okay. There, we'll start with you. You've got to blind rank Everton's players of the season. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out a player's name, and you've got to place them in a 1 to 10 position. Okay?
Okay.
So you might need a little bit of time to think, but we'll try and go quick fire. So the first player.
So hang on. So number 1 is the best player. 10's away. Yeah. Okay.
So whatever player I say, and you think he's ranked 7. So obviously we've only got 10. We've obviously used a lot more than that. So try and think. There's some players I haven't included, and there's some players obviously I have. So blind ranking Everton's players of the season. First one, Tieno Barry.
9.
Jordan Pickford.
4.
Michael Keane.
6.
Vitaly Mykolenko.
8.
Kiernan Dewsbury Hall.
2.
Beto.
Have I said 7?
No.
7.
James Garner.
1.
Iliman Ndiaye.
4.
You've had Jaden Pickford there.
5.
Adissa Garner Gay.
What have we got left?
10 and 3.
3. No, sorry, beg your pardon. No, he's not a 10. Oh no, this is where I'm going to.
This is where you messed up.
Well, I'll have to put Barry 10.
Oh, you can't go back now. You can't
that's the whole
change.
point of blind ranking.
Oh, right. I'll have to put him in 3 then.
So Adissa Garner Gay in 3. Jake O'Brien is.
Oh, that's all your 10th place now.
No.
Well, that's blind rankings for you.
Yeah, he's not being a 10, but yeah.
Next time you come on, you'll be more experienced. You'll know what to do. Okay.
Oh, shocking there.
So Tony now, yes or no, a quick fire Q&A. So you can only answer yes or no. And look, this is a bit of fun.
These are going to be audible questions, these.
This is a little bit of fun.
Right up here. Go on.
Putting Tony on the spot a little bit. But
he's just going to flood my mentions even more now.
It is a little bit of fun. Yes or no, quick fire Q&A. Will Jared Bramthwaite still be an Everton player by the end of the summer transfer window?
Yes.
Will Everton finish in a European place next season?
No.
Does David Moyes deserve to be in charge for the opening day of next season?
Yes.
Has the atmosphere at Hill Dickinson Stadium officially surpassed Goodison Park?
Yes.
Despite his campaign being cut short by injury, was Jack Grealish's loan spell a success?
Yes.
If offered £75 million for Iliman Ndiaye this summer, would you sell him?
Yes.
Will Everton win a major trophy in the next 5 years?
Yes.
This is hard, this one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Would you take Would you take Everton never being relegated in your lifetime if it meant never winning another trophy in your lifetime?
No, never.
No?
No.
Yes or no? Should David Moyes have given Nathan Patterson more of a chance at right back this season?
No. That's why he will be sold in the summer.
Okay, last one. Yes or no? Have you changed your mind about Beto?
No.
Wow.
100% no.
Wow.
I've seen 2 years of him. He's not good enough. Same with the other centre forward.
Right, you must have changed your mind in the fact that you consider him to be
He has a
an
go.
okay Premier League
He has
player.
a go. Yeah, that's it. He has a go.
Well, your answer should have been yet then.
No.
He just
Not
looks
changed my
better
mind.
than Barry. That's not much.
Isn't he linked with Hull City this week as well?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. These players, the likes of Patterson and Alcaraz and Beto and Barry, you'll see where their careers will go. And listen, if I hold my hands up and Barry turns out to be a superstar at Barcelona, then fine, I'll hold my hands up on that. But it's highly unlikely from what I've seen anyway.
Like Anthony Gordon.
Even you ask any Premier League support, like what is going on there as agents as a Walesy, absolute Walesy, in terms of how on earth he's got that move to Barcelona. And fair play to him, by the way, from Kirkdale. So honest, and got a lot of love for the lad who's obviously a working class lad. Says a lot for me. I went to school with his mum, so it says a lot for him in terms of how old I am.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, well, we will call it a day. Day, thanks for coming on the show again, and thank you for the gift, the Goodison Park turnstile model. Any final thoughts before we shoot off?
Just to say, we all have a good summer, and let's hope the World Cup is enjoyable. Let's hope Iliman Ndiaye blows everybody's socks off, and we get a £150 million bid from Real Madrid for him over the summer.
Wow, that's a bit of dreaming there, aren't you? So, all good. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, no. As I said, the World Cup's on in 2 weeks, isn't it? In 10 days, is it? So, yeah, I'll be looking forward to watching that, and at some spontaneous and weird kick-off times.
I think it's going to be a disaster, you know.
Yeah, well, I think the early group stages, they're all like 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock, but the knockout stages, they're all like 9 o'clock on a Friday night, 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. So
Sky Sports was saying this morning that if there's lightning within 10 miles of a stadium, you just have to pause the game straight away.
Yeah, straight away, yeah.
So that's going to be fun, isn't it?
Yeah, lots of half-time entertainment and whatnot. It's going to be
4 games a day, so I mean, it'll be 3, I guess, with some of them being late on. But
real changes as well for like grappling in the box and substitutes walking off the pitch.
Yeah, and you can't put your hand to your mouth.
I'm all for that. Well, that winds me up. Absolutely. It's like, what's a Premier League players and managers think that we find so fascinating that you're saying within 30 seconds of walking off the pitch?
Just have to walk put your head
so
like that.
It looks to me as if like you slagging someone off. Well, you must be doing that. Or otherwise, you'd be opening your mouth going, yeah, it's fine. We got beat there, fair and square. Like, no questions asked. It winds me up when they're like, what is so important that you got to keep your mouth covered?
Is any of the games being played in Kansas? Because I was going to say, could be like Wizard of Oz 3 when one of the stadiums goes whirling by in a tornado. And
the only good thing about it from Everton's perspective, I had to look at obviously the amount of players that travel to the States. I think Everton have one of the lowest amount of players playing in the World Cup in the Premier League. In the whole Europe, in fact. We've only got, is it Ndiaye, Pickford, and Garnagay. That's it.
Yeah.
So if anything, all the other players should be fresh for next season.
Nathan Patterson will be on the bench for Scotland.
I'm sure he will. Yeah. Fingers crossed he gets a move. Yeah.
Of course he forgot about him.
Of course he did. Yeah.
Can't give him any credit.
Our fantastic right back has been there for 4 years, 4 managers.
He was unbeaten this season in 3 games that he played right back.
Let's look at his win ratio over 5 years. See how you get on there.
Right, we will call it a day. Thank you to Tony. Thank you for Dave for coming on. I've been Ian Croll, and this has been the Royal Blue Podcast.